I'm sorry. Okay, so welcome back to Koala's Creepin. I am Koala speaking, present. Okay, so in this episode, I'm gonna talk a little bit about walking in beauty with the sun and the moon, is the title of this video. And what I mean by that is what it sounds like, I think, to just live with nature and not go against my nature or the nature around us, to acknowledge the fact that we are so many percent water. I'm not sure how many, but I know there's a lot. There's a lot of water in these bodies, these human flesh suits, if you want to call them that. And so I'm gonna start like small and then work my way outwards. So I'm gonna start with the moon, and as I'm recording this, it's the new moon, and it's the day before you see it, so it's still a new moon when you're watching this, and it's quite a good place to start because when I walk with the moon, that's how I start my moon lapse. I don't know the perfect English word for it. In Swedish, we call it månvarv. It's basically moon lapse, like one lap of the moon. So I start with the new moon, and or maybe I start with the dark moon, maybe. Depending on how you see it, you can start wherever. But if we start with the new moon, um, I usually draw runes for the month ahead, like the 28 something days ahead, and I draw runes according to a drawing that's called the draw of the draw of the Norns. So in Swedish it's Nornunasdragning, and it's a rune drawing where you, or a spread, because it's spread, where I consult the Norns via my runes. So my runes are the medium of which I use to ask the Norns, and the Norns. I'm gonna speak a bit more about the Norns in a future video. And I think I have spoken about the Norns last year, maybe, but I will definitely do it again. But so the Norns are three goddesses that it's the gods of the past, the present, and the future. So this spread is quite simple. You ask about the past, the present, and the future. And with the runes, the most accurate reading is like 3 months ahead of time, and then after 3 months ahead, it becomes more vague. But in this specific drawing or reading or spread, I ask about the month ahead, so it's quite accurate, but it's also very general. So when I draw rules for myself in this spread, it's very general. I ask Urd is the first Norn, and I ask her just to show me what life has been like for me in the past month. What has been like something that maybe something I could take with me or whatever. And it's most often something that is very spot on, but maybe something I haven't really, noticed myself because I'm so in my life. You are in your life, you're living your life, and then uh, you don't often see the bigger picture. So the runes help me to look at the bigger picture afterwards and be like, yeah, yeah, maybe that's what it's been about. Makes sense. So, and the second Norn, not room, the second Norn is Verdandi, and she talks about the present. So, with her, I ask her to show me the present. What's important in the current moment that I'm living in right now. So, and it can be like the last moonlap. It was like it's what's happening right now. Like a month ago was I was finally like growing, and whatever pain I felt was growing pains, and it was a good kind of pain. So the norm just I felt very strongly when I draw that rune that I I would not. The best thing for me in that moment was to not do this, but to actually spread my uh oh no, I don't know the English word. The English words are escaping me today. Okay, so branches, like spread my branches and reach for the skies, and also the same with the roots, to just dig deeper, and not let myself just back again. So that's what I got last month, because I'm not comfortable talking about like what's going on right now, and that's the reason I document everything I do. I have this beautiful uh, journal right now that I write everything in. So because I like to look back, so like once a year, mostly around the winter solstice, I look back at the year that I'm leaving behind, and before I enter the new year. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about that when I come to like the sun. This is the moon. So and then the last rune I draw, the last Norn, the third Norn is Skuld. It means depth, I think. But it can also, it's a Swedish word that can mean both to be in debt, or to be indebted to someone or something, life. But it can also mean feeling guilt. So skuld is both debt and guilt. And I say debt because I'm not sure how you pronounce it without it missing what it means. Debt. So it could mean both of those things. And it's the norm that helps you to create the life ahead of you. So I ask her to show me what's ahead of me this month, and because it's the short time span of like a month ahead. I'm not. It's stuff that is already in the web. So in one moon lap, you can set small intentions, because that's also what I do in new moon. I might set some small intentions, but it's like on the grander scale of things are already in motion. So maybe if I want to make some changes, or pick a direction within something that I've already set intentions in, I do that in the new moon. But I'm also very aware that one moon lap is a very short period of time, and if I do change something drastically during one moon lap, then I know that this is just the beginning, or it's just part of it. It's just, like that. So um, it's not over. Nothing is over in 1 month. Nothing is over. It's very rarely. And if it is over in 1 month, if you set an intention to have something be over in a month, then it's already been over. It's already come to, like, it's been stepping down. And then this is where you are acknowledging that this is coming to an end, and I want to end it. And you set an intention to end it. It's like you're saying to the universe, yeah, this is what I want. I want to end it. And the universe say, finally, let's tie this together, and just, you know, so the new moon for me is about um, setting intentions if I feel I need some. Like for this month, my intentions have been to I am in the middle of a project with a new rune course. So for this new moon, I am really I'm in like the final stages of cultivating this. So I have planned it. I have started doing all the work, and I'm at the end of it. And so my intention is to finish the work with it, so that it can be launched. And then I am also opting for my. I'm trying to. I'm trying to learn how to drive. All right. So I have actively, I'm gonna start taking classes and that sort of thing. And it's like, so it's like a part of it. It's like I take one big intention and then I chop it up. And this is one part of it in the larger scheme of things. And when we talk about the larger scheme of things, we talk about this. I talk about the sun lap. Like the year. So because as I said, we can. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Okay, so for me, the equivalent of the new moon is spring when it comes to the year, the wheel of the year. So I set my intentions around the autumn equinox. So we've had like a winter of rest, of cultivating things, of letting things simmer, and maybe some have just been let go, and some things have been left on the shelf, and sometimes things need this darker time to just grow. And then with the spring equinox, I look at whatever I have, because I do set some intentions during the winter solstice, but that's just like planning and planting seeds and in my head and in my heart and in my body and my mind. So then when the spring equinox comes around, that's when I actively plant the seeds. So like I have ideas from the winter solstice. And then with the spring equinox, I'm like, okay, which of these ideas do I really wanna get into? Which were just something that I thought I wanted, and what do I really want, and that sort of thing. So that's why I feel like in the new moon, it's just like, okay, so I set these intentions for this year. Where am I in this process? What has happened? How much healing have I done? What is there healing to be done? Because most of my life is about healing stuff and the growing as a human being going forward. So then we come around with the moon lap. We come to like the full moon. The full moon is for consummation. I think is a good word, and like it's like a time to be like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. This is a great time to do this, folks. So most often, this is how my life works. Okay, so I set some intentions, and then each new moon there are some smaller intentions being set, and then in the full moon stuff just happens because that's how I live my life. So either if it's intentional, like if I set an intention for the new moon, like okay, I'm gonna start taking driver lessons. And I call and I'm like, okay, I need driver lessons. I need driver's lessons. And then the there might be that the only opening they have is right at the full moon, because that's when I'm gonna really kick it off. Or something else happens during the full moon that is really like consummating it, and me showing the universe and universe showing me that yeah, this is actually happening. So the full moon for me is mostly about recognizing where I am, where I'm headed, and just go with the flow, and sometimes change the direction if I feel like it's a no go. And sometimes I just have maybe sets too many intentions for one moon lap. So during the full moon, I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna work. I'm gonna have to put this on the shelf again, and I'm gonna have to put more money or more resources, more energy, more time into this to fully give it what it needs and deserves. And then I can take this other thing up during the next new moon and the next full moon and see, because it's all like it's everything is connected. It's I have a holistic point of view of all things, love, health, everything. So if something's not happening right now, it doesn't mean it's not gonna happen. I don't believe in getting no more chances to do something right. I believe that if you're going through something hard, and you get like challenge after challenge after challenge, and you're like drained of energy, you can say no. Uh, and then sometimes it's the right thing to say no at this time, and then some like further into the future there is something else happening, and it's a similar challenge because it's the similar lesson, and it's a better time to do it. Sometimes it's our ego or our inner child that doesn't want to take on the challenge. So the you are like missing the time when it was right to do it, in the sense that it would be easier, that it's okay to say no, and then like further in time, I excuse my English today, um something might happen that gives you a similar challenge again, but it's much harder because you passed up on the easy way out, and then you have to do it again, and it's a bit harder, it's a bit trickier, because the lesson might be like um, really needed. It's hard to, it's something I visualize very well in my head how this works, how I imagine it works, but it's sometimes hard to explain. So the full moon to me is equivalent to the summer solstice. So if I set my intentions in the spring, the summer solstice is a time to really kick things off and that sort of thing. So I have a podcast in Swedish with a friend, and we planned it during the winter. We planned it and we thought about it, and then we worked a little bit on it. But for the spring equinox, we filmed the first. That's when we really, planted it. We started we started filming, we started recording, and we launched like a sneak peek during the spring. And then for the summer solstice, that's when we really published the first episode. And we had like a kickoff week with a lot of episodes after in that week, like one a day. And then after that, we've had like once a week for a very long time. And similarly, so that was last year. That was 2022, if I recall correctly. And this year, it's been the opposite. It's been like um, we've had a break from it, from and the break was at the beginning of the spring. So it was like an intentional break from the universe that gave us time to focus on other stuff. But we will be picking up the podcast again when we both have so much things going on right now, right? So, but we will, and it's like working together with the universe to make things happen, and doing it at a time that is very um good to do it. So I know a lot of people is very into astrology, and does things according to like when the astrology's uh, good for it, like when the planets are aligned or whatever. And I don't know that much about astrology. I have some channels that I go to sometimes, and I have a friend that is quite knowledgeable. And when something's up, I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's in retrograde right now, and what's the theme of this month? So I do have some insight to that, but it's more so that what I am so in tune with the sun and the moon at this stage, that if I feel like, okay, this month is gonna be about this is the intent, these are the intentions I'm gonna set, this is what's gonna happen. And sometimes the universe just throws things at me that I have to deal with. The past month was really like that. The past 2 months have been like that. And then I check in with my astrology friends, and they're like, "Oh, that's no surprise, because this was the theme of that month, or this was the theme of that month, and the moon was in Leo, and it's that means this, and so it's no surprise." So most often when I I feel like because I'm so in tune with the sun and the moon and the earth, I might add, mm, the earth in alignment with the sun and the moon, and the earth being like the physical body, the physical aspect of it. And um, so I feel like when I am aligned, when I really listen to my intuition and work with the sun and the moon and the earth, that's when things happen in alignment with the other planets and the all of the cosmos, um, because everything's connected, you know. So I'm quite happy about how my life is intertwined with the sun and the moon and the earth right now. And for my rune ceremonies that I have going on, I chose the full moon for those. So each full moon right now we have I have like a rune ceremony, so focusing on one rune each time, and I can really see how those also align, like the theme of those align with my life and even with my, because there are participants in these. We are most often 6 or 7 people doing this together, and all of us are like things happen in alignment. So even my work with the runes is aligned with with all of this. And someone told me that as soon as the that this is the time to do the stuff that I really want to focus on right now. And as soon as Venus is out of retrograde, I think it was, that's when it's gonna kick off, and that's just in time for something that they have planned ahead of time. So I'm really happy about this. So, uh, what do you need if you're new? If you're new, are you new? Are you new to this? Are you new to the moon and the sun and the earth and the stars and all of that stuff? So what do you need? You don't need anything to get started. You need to pick a point of start. The new moon is a very great way to start, point to start. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the dark moon now. So the dark moon to me is equivalent to like the autumn that we are coming into now, and harvest time and that sort of thing. So I don't think we harvest that much just in each moonlet. There might be some signs that we are doing things right. Like I can, during that time I try to go inwards as much as possible, and I try to do some inner work and listen to what I need in that moment. But sometimes there are things that are still like clicking into place from the full moon, so I know that I'm on the right track. And sometimes things are really uproaring in the like during the days before the dark moon and during the dark moon, and I'm aware. Being aware. What's the term? I'm I'm getting aware though. I don't know. The fact that, oh, this was maybe not the right choice for me, or okay, so this is my choice for the. I have done this, but this now needs to be scratched, to be and let go of, because there's a lot of focus of like letting go and that sort of thing during the dark moon, and I do that. I do let go, but it's more about what do I want to bring into the new moon lap, in the sense of like emotions and maybe thought patterns and how I deal with stuff, and uh, recognizing what is actually to be left behind. It can be sometimes once a year, maybe it can be a person. But most often it's like, I don't want to have this mindset anymore. I want to let go of this mindset. So I go inwards, and I go to the source of where that mindset comes from, so I can let it go. So I do a lot of inner child work and in like self-heal work during the dark moon. Just because it's like what I want to bring into the new moon. And that's kind of, is that my whole like autumn and winter? No, it's not. It's not really. Maybe yeah, the winter is that. It's like that. There's a lot happening in the winter months because I live in a place that I most often don't realize how dark it gets here in relation to other places on this planet. Uh, I remember a Zoom call like during the first months of the summer, and it with a person that doesn't live in Sweden, and I was like, it was this bright here, and it was like 10 p.m. and as- it was no, it was actually like maybe 7:30 or 8 p.m. in their time, uh, in the evening. Like it was the same time as here. It was the same time zone, but I was like sitting there like bright light, and I knew it was gonna be this bright like until 11:30 p.m. or something, and then it was gonna be just a little bit darker, and then light again at like 1:30, 2 a.m. And so this person, all of a sudden, it just started to get like shade and darker, and I was like, after like a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, I was like, "What happened? Did you turn the light off?" And she was like, "No." it's it's the sun went down. And I was like, what do you mean the sun went down? And she was like, but you live in Sweden. You have to remember you live in Sweden. I was like, oh, so this sort of thing I really don't really think about. And I try to, but I do try to take advantage of that. And I know that my body and my mind and my even my spirit is connected to the seasons that I live with. I don't know how I would cope in another part of the world, but I really feel like the during the winter I go more inwards, and I do need more sleep in the winter. It's not I'm not the kind of person that would get depressed in the winter. I've never really dealt with that, I think. That sort of, seasonal depression thing. But I do need more sleep, and my body feels like my entire being, my physical being and my mental being is like slowing down and needing to almost go into hibernation. And some things I do like put on a shelf because I know I'm not gonna have the energy for this during these months. I'm not gonna have the energy for this. I put it on the shelf. I put it on the shelf, my mental shelf. And then when the spring comes, I'm like, here we go. Okay, up and at 'em, So I get more physically active. I get more. Uh, my mind is going. Uh, I want to say it becomes brighter as well, but not in like that kind of way. But it's just I just have more energy for stuff, both mentally and physically, and I really feel the connection to the wheel of the year in that. In the same in on a larger scale than with like the monthly cycle that ever because all human beings regardless of gender or assigned gender at birth or whatever, we do have like an inner cycle, a moon cycle. I see it in my partner, I see it in myself, I see it in people around me that don't acknowledge it because they can be like when during the full moon, say, if I have like a cycle that is according to the moon, during the full moon, I can feel a certain way, and then I meet people that feel a certain way, and I'm like, they like complaining about stuff, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, I know, but I can't say why because a lot of people are skeptic, but I'm sitting there like, yeah, it's the full moon, dude, and then in the dark moon. I see less of people. Like, there's a lot of people that are like, I don't want to meet people. I don't want to go peopling today. I don't want to do this. And I'm like, but just reschedule your whatevs to the first week of the moon. And then like, what? I'm like, yeah, just reschedule like a week ahead, and you will feel better about it. I guarantee. And it's interesting to just so back to where I was. This is a really messy episode. But so if you're new to all of this, I would recommend that you start with maybe the dark moon and go inwards and just let yourself rest and let yourself just even, be socially unavailable. One thing I do once a month is to just not go on social media at all. I pre-record videos so I don't have to be on anything that I don't want to. I'm very cautious about what kind of content I digest during certain parts of the month, and the dark moon is one of them. So let's start with the dark moon. Go inwards, journal, go off social media. Just listen to, let yourself just feel the day. Because I know that not all people have the advantage of like waking up when they wanna or go to bed when they want to and just follow the cycle of their physical being. But just let yourself feel like what do you need when the moon is dark, and then follow those thoughts and feelings and emotions into the new moon and be like, what do I need now? And just journal and write it down. So the first step is to just, feel, let yourself feel, and record or document how you feel with some type of journaling. It can be like your your regular calendar, and you can just put like a smiley face or a sad face or whatever as a start to see just how if there's some correlations like, oh, you look back after 3 months, you look back and see that every dark moon you feel like crap, or every full moon you feel like you can conquer the world. And just start small and then build from that. And start with yourself. What do you need in that moment? And yeah, that's what I would urge you to do. And I don't really have yet any like ceremonies in English to follow the Wheel of the Year, but I'm open to it if there is interest. So right now I'm focusing on other stuff, but I'm always open to suggestions if someone wants to do this. Because I did have, like all 2022, I think, yeah. I offered people to join me in like a Wheel of the Year ceremony. So we had like 9 ceremonies because it started with the winter solstice and then went around all year and ended with the winter solstice to just follow the Wheel of the Year. From my perspective, that is. So, if you want to do something similar, just pick someone that has thoughts and a perspective that aligns with you and resonates with your being. It doesn't have to be shamanic, it can be Wiccan, it can be Druid, it can be Druid or Druid, and it can be like anything, and just try to stick with it. And remember, there are ups and downs through the month and the year. There are natural, like ebbs and flows of everything. And I think the challenge when you start and you want to walk with the sun and the moon and the earth is to really stick with it through the hard times and recognize that do just recognize, like take a step back and be like, oh, this is a hard time and I should document it. I like video recording. I like video journaling, diary. So uh if you don't feel like doing much, just allow yourself to express whatever you're going through so you can look back and be like, okay, November is my shitty month or February is my shitty month, and don't quit what you're doing. If you want to really explore the Wheel of the Year, for example, just minimize the efforts you need to make so that you can still observe and feel and go through it so that you can come out of that dark time and be like, oh, and start up again. Like with the Wheel of the Year, I uh, the darker times are like the winter. I most often, or often, not most often, but I often during the winter wish I could take a vacation or like take time off and just have my time off hibernating in the middle of winter, like January, February. Yeah, after Christmas and until like mid-February, that would be marvelous. Like the entire January, half February, maybe even all of February, something like that. But I can't because what I do, what my livelihood is right now, don't allow me to do that. I have my time off in the summer, which most often mean that I don't really relax, uh, because I'm so energetic and I have so many things going on, and I just take advantage of the energy that I have, which is most often recreational. But yeah, I just wish sometimes I could take my days off, my holiday off in the winter and just hibernate. Uh, because if I could do that, I would definitely do like in the winter, I would go to bed when the sun goes down in Sweden, and then I would probably get up in the middle of the night and just be cozy for a few hours and just sit with a book or a cup of tea or do something with my mind, like sword puzzles. I don't know, but still like calm, something calm. And then I would probably go back to bed and sleep until the sun goes up, and then I would take advantage of the light hours that are few. Um, and that would be my life, but it would if I could. But that's not something that you make a livelihood on in this day and age. So this has been a long video. Tell me in the comment sections, do you walk in beauty with the sun and the moon and the earth, or do you want to? What would your ideal year be like? When would you work? When would you take time off work? Um, what would you do? What line of work would you be most aligned with your being? Because I know that some people are nocturnal and some people are not. I'm not nocturnal. My partner is very much nocturnal. So, what do you need? Huh? What do you need? Answer that question. So, you don't have to set any new moon intentions with me today. Uh, but maybe for the next new moon. How about that? Or maybe the dark moon. I'm gonna do for the full moon this month, I'm gonna do a ceremony with a full moon talk. So that's in a couple of weeks. And but there's one episode in between where I'm gonna talk about my Nordic rooms. So my Nordic practice, I think, is that no, I don't remember my schedule to be honest, but that's okay. And this is kind of how I am in my mind, like around the new moon. I'm not really here yet. I'm not really. Oh, someone's banging on the wall. I thought they were like knocking on my door, but they're not. Someone's just like banging something into the wall. Anyway, see you in a week in English and in just a few days in Swedish. So until next time, walk in beauty with the moon and the sun and the stars and the earth. And as I always end my videos, shingling.